Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling.
The arena did not erupt. There was no sudden scream, no wave of phones lifted into the air, no instinctive applause rushing to fill the space. Instead, something far more unusual happened. An entire crowd hesitated, as if thousands of people sensed, at the exact same second, that this was not a moment to interrupt, not a moment to react, but a moment to quietly receive. On the first night of the Chengdu concert, when Liu Yuning's voice rose gently through the venue, time seemed to slow in a way no one had expected. The lights were warm but restrained. The melody moved carefully, almost cautiously, as though it understood it was walking across something fragile. And somewhere in the audience, unnoticed at first, an emotional shift was already taking shape. This was not a dramatic pause designed for effect. It was not a pre-arranged highlight. It was the kind of silence that only appears when emotion arrives before words can catch up. By the time people realized something different was happening, it was already too late to look away. That evening in Chengdu did not begin as a story destined to travel across platforms. It began like many other concerts, with anticipation humming quietly in the air. Fans filled the venue long before the lights dimmed, their conversations overlapping, their excitement contained but unmistakable. Chengdu, a city known for its warmth and artistic soul, felt especially alive that night. Yet beneath the excitement, there was also a sense of calm, as though the audience trusted what was about to unfold without needing to be convinced. When Liu Yuning stepped onto the stage, he did not rush to claim attention. He did not fill the space with speeches or spectacle. He stood there with a steady presence, allowing the music to speak first. From the opening notes, it became clear that this performance would not rely on volume or drama. His voice carried something quieter, something patient. Each line was delivered with care, not reaching outward, but inward, as if he was singing to the space between people rather than to the crowd itself. As the song unfolded, the arena responded in a way that felt instinctive. Cheering softened, movement slowed. The usual rhythm of a concert gave way to something more intimate. Listeners leaned in, not physically, but emotionally. It was the kind of song that does not demand attention, yet somehow earns it completely. A song about paths crossing again, about connections that linger even when time stretches them thin. Familiar ideas, perhaps, but on that night they landed differently. Then the camera shifted, not abruptly, not dramatically, but with a quiet curiosity, as though it too had sensed something beyond the stage. The lens moved away from the performer and into the audience, settling on a face that was not trying to be found. Zhao Lusi was seated among the crowd, still composed, blending in rather than standing out. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual. She was listening, like everyone else, but as the music continued, her expression changed in subtle stages. Her eyes softened, her breathing slowed. There was no sudden gesture, no visible effort to contain emotion, just a gradual surrender to it. When the tears appeared, they did not fall dramatically. They gathered quietly, honestly, without performance or awareness. It was the kind of reaction that happens when the body responds, before the mind has time to intervene. When her image appeared briefly on the large screen, the atmosphere inside the venue shifted once more. Not with shock, not with excitement, but with recognition. The audience did not cheer her name. No one shouted. In fact, the space felt even quieter than before. People understood instinctively that what they were witnessing was not a celebrity moment, but a human one. That was when the meaning of the night changed. Zhao Lusi did not become the focus of the concert. She did not interrupt the performance, yet her reaction mirrored something many in the audience were feeling but had not expressed. In that moment, she was not separate from the crowd. She was part of it. Her emotion validated the collective experience unfolding in the room. It confirmed that the song was not simply being heard, but deeply felt. Back on stage, Liu Yuning continued without pause. His voice remained steady, controlled, and grounded. There was no visible response, no acknowledgement of what had appeared on the screen. Whether he noticed or not was irrelevant. What mattered was that the performance remained intact, untouched by distraction. He trusted the music enough to let it carry the moment on its own. Vocally, this was a performance defined by restraint. High notes were delivered without force. Emotional weight was conveyed without exaggeration. There was confidence in allowing silence to sit between phrases, in letting the audience process what they were hearing, rather than pushing them toward a reaction. The lighting followed the same philosophy, shifting gently, supporting the mood instead of overpowering it. Around the venue, reactions unfolded quietly. Some people tightened their grip on their light sticks. Others lowered their heads slightly, as if acknowledging something personal that had surfaced. A few wiped their eyes without fully realizing they had started to cry. There was no chaos, no frenzy. The energy in the room felt unified, almost synchronized, as though everyone had settled into the same emotional rhythm. Online, the response followed quickly, but not loudly. Short clips circulated, accompanied by simple comments. People did not argue over meaning. They did not rush to label the moment. Many simply said that they felt seen, that they understood without needing an explanation, that the reaction on screen reflected something familiar within themselves. What made this moment resonate so widely was not speculation or interpretation, but its openness. Nothing was defined for the audience. No conclusions were offered. Viewers were allowed to bring their own experiences into the space the moment created. In a digital environment, often driven by noise and instant judgment, this quiet authenticity stood out. As the song reached its final note, Liu Yuning allowed the sound to fade naturally. He did not rush the ending. The applause that followed rose slowly, deep and sincere. It was not explosive, but grateful, the kind of response that acknowledges not just skill, but shared feeling. When the lights eventually brightened and the crowd began to move again, many described a sense of calm they had not expected. It was not excitement that lingered, but release, as though something unspoken had been gently acknowledged and set down. That first night in Chengdu will not be remembered for scale or spectacle. It will be remembered for its honesty, for a song that created space rather than demand, for an audience that chose to listen rather than react, and for a quiet, unguarded moment that reminded everyone present that emotion does not need explanation to be understood. If this story resonated with you, if it stirred something familiar, thank you for taking the time to stay with it. Moments like these remind us why music and shared experiences matter so deeply. If you'd like to continue exploring real stories that capture the emotional heartbeat behind the headlines, consider subscribing to Update X24. Your support helps us keep telling these moments with care, respect, and sincerity. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to sharing the next story with you.